Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast, a podcast where nerdy brothers get together each and every week, primarily to talk gaming. And in this week's episode, we're going to be doing just that. My name is Kris. I'm joined once again by my brother Eric,
Hello.
and we are back in the room this week for our Halloween special episode.
Ooh.
Ooh, we're coming up to Halloween week. We're getting all red and scary. And to be thematic for Halloween, we've decided for this topic to look back on the best horror games every year that the Game Awards have been around. And the reason we're doing this is because maybe you're new to us, or maybe you've heard us before. But every time the Game Awards come along, myself and Eric in particular have said there needs to be a horror game category at the Game Awards. And we're always shocked when there isn't. And we're always like, why is there not a horror game category? There's often a fighting game category, an action game category, and all those should still exist. But we always feel like when we only see the horror games in either the indie space, because to be fair, there's often great indie games, or in the action adventure space, we're always like, yes, okay, kinda, but the thing that makes the game so great, like if I look at it as a action adventure game on its own merits, then it's probably not the best action adventure game. But if I looked at it as a horror game, then I'd be like, yeah, 10 out of 10. Unreal horror game.
This is probably the year we're gonna have to eat our words, and the game wars gonna happen. They're gonna have best horror, and we're gonna be like,
I hope they do,
no
because
horror games come out this year.
yeah, I hope they do, because we'll be like, we've been saying this for years. Finally, listen to us, Jeff. I don't know who decides these categories, but even like you see like most anticipated game. Why does that get an award? That's stuff that's going to get nominated next year for actually coming out.
Yeah.
Getting awards before it even comes out, or like best adaptation of shit, best e-coach. Get the fuck out of here. So anyway, we want best horror games. So the reason why we're doing this is, one, we're very passionate about this as a topic. We feel like horror games should be their own category. They're their own genre of games, really. So it should be a category at the Game Awards. And we're always, in the last couple of years, we've been very impressed by horror games as experiences. Another reason we're doing this is obviously because Halloween week, and we like to do something horror themed for the week of Halloween. Um, and then the last reason I would say is the like why we're doing from 2014 onwards, because what a weird year to pick, is we're basically looking at as if the Game Awards had been around, and if this had always been a category in it, which game would have won each year, in our opinion. That could be a what we would pick, and also a what would actually probably win when you think about the way the Game Awards normally go.
Hmm.
We won't know everything because we haven't played every single horror game we're going to talk about. But we're going to give our best sort of take on it, and that's what this is. This is the Brothers Take. So we're going to look at all the horror games from 2014 up to now. What would be the best horror game of each year? What we think would have won the award. We want to hear your take too. You may have played these games, and you also may have an opinion on a game that would be even better than it in the horror category. So that's where we want you to jump in. So if you watch YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments to share your thoughts on which game deserves best horror game of each year from 2014 to now. If you enjoyed this episode, do give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for future content. And to those of you listening to us on audio platforms, you can touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on the best horror games from 2014 to 2025. But without further ado, let's get spooky. So, I suppose another thing is, why this is another good topic is people are always looking for. I find a lot of gamers look for horror games to play around Halloween.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And maybe in doing this, we will list out some games or come across some games that people actually hadn't heard of, and they might go, "Oh, that sounds good. I'll give that a go." So this could also be a horror recommendations list in a way of games that you should play this Halloween.
If you're looking
Uh,
for spooky games.
yeah, and let us know if you have any recommendations of horror games that you should play over Halloween. What horror games are you playing this Halloween? Do let us know. But we've got a lot to get through, so let's not waste any time. And we are starting with 2014, which
Mm-hmm.
was the year the Game Awards first started.
Yeah.
Eric, obviously we're not going to list every horror game.
We're not listening to everything. No, no, no.
No.
But
Give
but
us some of the big heavy hitters that came
right,
out in
so
2014.
I'm gonna start off. I don't know if this would be considered a family friendly out of the lot, but I suppose a lot of kids played this one because this is when Five Nights at Freddy's came out. That was a
Mm-hmm.
big thing. Yeah, that was rage. I never played it because I think back at this time. I say this right, 2014. Although I was a big scaredy cat of playing video games.
Yeah.
Yet I also played Alien Isolation, The Evil Within, and PT, which were also three games that came out this year.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
all very big horror games.
yeah, so somehow Five Nights at Freddy's, I drew the line at killer teddy bears, but Alien coming and fucking my face up, that was fine, and the
Yeah, yeah.
Spider Lady, that was okay. But yeah, so those are a couple of the games that came out this year. There was obviously a lot more. That's one thing I found when I was doing up the list throughout the week was, and then we had to obviously narrow it down, and I had to be a little cruel where I had a thing of narrowing it down. Anything that was below 70% in most reviews, I had to take that out of the list. So just so
Right. And
help
people
us
might
narrow this.
disagree with us on that, right? But okay.
Right. But yeah, I had to really, and then I even checked genres.
Yeah.
If the game wasn't saying a horror genre, even though it came up as a horror game that came out that year, I'd take it out just to really narrow this stuff down. Um, but yeah, so those are a couple of the games that came out this year, and I mean that's not a bad year for horror
No.
in 2014.
I always think Evil Within came out earlier, and I don't know why, because I know it came out that year, but I always for
See,
some reason feel
yeah,
like it came out earlier.
I actually keep forgetting, right? So 2014 was the first year. Well, 2013, end of 2013, I think was the PS4, wasn't it?
I can never remember.
Right. Even though it's really weird that The Last of Us came out in 2013, and
Hmm.
that's a PS3 game.
Yes.
And then just the next year we're on the PS4, and there's all these PS4 games that
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out. So that's a good way to remember is when the so and yeah, I actually think the Evil Within always came out later. I didn't realize it came out in the first year of the PS4.
Yes.
And same with Alien Isolation.
Well, let's start with the first controversy then.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
I think there'd be if the Game Awards had horror as a category back then, there is no doubt that The Evil Within and Alien Isolation would have been nominees.
Yes.
The big controversy is would PT, which came out that year, and let's face it, has influenced every horror game to come out since.
Mm-hmm.
Would PT have been nominated as Horror Game of the Year, given that many would say it is not an actual full-length game? Some would have called it a demo, as it is called a playable teaser, but it's certainly not a demo from an existing game. It exists as its own experience. What do you think on that?
Uh you raise a good point, and the harsh person in me
Hmm.
would say no. It shouldn't be there because it's a teaser. Much like another example of something that came out in 2014 was Outlast Whistleblower. Right? That's
Okay.
listed. And I would say no, you can't include that. That's a story DLC.
Yes.
But that would have more content in it than PT.
Hmm.
Because it's just a teaser, it's just a demo. So therefore, it's like, okay, well, if we can't even include story expansions, because I mean, we kicked up shtick about Shadow of the Earth Tree being included. So it's like, well,
Yes,
we got it.
but they did.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have, Chris.
But they did.
Yeah, they only did it recently, and I don't even know why.
And they did the same with the Cyberpunk 2027 or 2077.
The Phantom Liberty one.
Phantom Liberty is an expansion, and that got nominated for awards.
I thought only the voice actors did.
No.
Oh, well, they shouldn't have done that either. And I love Cyberpunk 2077, and I will still be harsh on that and say they shouldn't have done that.
Well, but they did. So
Okay, fine.
I think
Right.
that had the Game Awards had a horror category in 2014,
Hmm.
not only would PT have been nominated,
Okay.
I think it would have won.
I will agree with you on that. If it was nominated, it would have won. And honestly, I would say they probably would have because Jeff Keighley would have been like, but Kojima made it though.
That's
So
the other thing. Like, that's the other thing. And if this was the first year of it,
yeah,
where
yeah.
actually there are no rules yet and you can do what you like,
That's true.
they're
Yeah, yeah.
establishing it. At that point, PT being Kojima and being how it set the internet on fire
Mm-hmm.
and was just a game for, and then changed the horror genre in a genre that is best horror game of 2014. Let's face it, it is. And that's no
Yes.
disrespect to The Evil Within, and it's no disrespect to Alien Isolation, both incredible horror games. It's no disrespect to the Outlast Whistleblower DLC, and it's no disrespect to Five Nights at Freddy's, which is also a huge franchise. But PT is the best horror game of 2014. I would have
Yeah.
picked it, and I think so would they.
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. I
You're like,
have to
ultimately,
agree with you.
I agree.
Yeah, on multiple fronts, especially the main one being it was made by Kojima and Jeff Keighley's in charge. So I just think in that front,
Well, he does, yeah. I suppose there is an element, though, where the judges still have to pick, don't they? The critics.
nah, it's Jeff.
They're all rigged. It's all Jeff. Okay. So that's how we feel about 2014. If anyone
Yeah,
disagrees with us, please feel free to get in the comments and go, absolutely no way could you class PT as a full horror game, or whatever. Like, go ahead. But
is that what you would also personally pick?
yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
It's I'm harsh, and so I wouldn't choose it based on the fact it's not a game.
Sure.
This is obviously going off my mindset now. Maybe back in the day, obviously in 2014, I would have been more lenient, but I'm being harsher now, and therefore
Oh, work away. Yeah.
I'd probably go for Alien Isolation.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, honestly, in my opinion, if PT was not allowed,
Yeah.
on the basis of it not being a full length game that you purchase, all that crack, then I think Alien Isolation is the obvious next runner up,
Yeah.
regardless of the IGN reviews back then.
Yeah, I
Given
just
that
think
I
like
think everyone else was very impressed by it.
yes, everyone else is impressed, and just that real dread and fear of not knowing where Alien is like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's so scary.
Anyway,
Okay, so take us on to 2015.
2015. Okay, so I narrowed it down to 5 games, so I will be able to just list these 5 games
Amazing.
as the nominees, I suppose, if we want to be very
Yeah.
official about it.
Yeah. Welcome to the
We
Game
have-
Awards.
Dying Light,
Mm-hmm.
Until Dawn,
Mm.
Resident Evil Revelations 2,
Okay.
Soma, and the game that makes the internet explode every time it's mentioned, Bloodborne. Okay,
Right. Okay. Can I ask a question?
Oh,
I'm asking
shoot.
this as someone who is a bit, ignorant to this topic because I've never played it. I'm not a From Software guy. People who've listened to this before know that. People who don't, I'm giving you a bit of an introduction. Is Bloodborne a horror game? Would it actually be in that category? There's another controversial. Let's have a
I
debate.
would say playing it. I've cleared it once. I've played it twice. I would say it's more of a horror than even Dying Light.
But is it a horror game though? Like, if you look up the description, is that what it says?
Like the genre, that is true. Yeah, we have to be. Yeah, that's true.
Like, is it actually a horror game, or is it sort of a dark fantasy game? You know what I mean?
check the genres.
This is the thing I want to know.
Survival horror is in its genres.
Then fair enough. Then there is absolutely no doubt it would win.
That's what I was going to say. Bloodborne will win.
Absolutely. If it wasn't classed technically as a horror game, it could not be in that category. Then I think it's between Soma and Until Dawn that year.
Fair, yeah. That's
Soma
fair.
being the actual horror scary game, Until Dawn being the kind of hit, the hit that year. you know.
Yeah, that was the. But
But
no, it's from software, so immediately it's going to be
Bloodborne,
Bloodborne.
100%. Still considered by many to be one of the greatest games ever made. And if it was in the horror category, then yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, that would win.
Bloodborne. Would you pick it though, as well? I know, like we're saying, it would win. For that year, I would have picked Until Dawn because I really like that game. But like
I
if I was voting, that's the one
on
I would vote
personal
for. But
preference,
yeah,
I would probably go for Until Dawn because it gives the nice party horror vibe. You can have multiple people over and get to experience this horror movie that has the classic slasher tropes, but then it turns it on its head and becomes really interesting. Bloodborne, I wouldn't, based on it's annoying. Uh, but if
but undoubtedly it would win.
undoubtedly it would win. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it is a horror game. It's very gothic horror, and you are on edge nearly the whole time. So yeah.
Okay, let us know what you think, guys. But I imagine most people would agree with us in terms of that year, that Bloodborne would win. Okay, 2016.
Right. So we a couple of mentions here. You got Layers of Fear.
Mm.
You got the Until Dawn Rush of Blood VR roller coaster game. I really don't know if I'd actually count as a horror game. So, but I've just mentioned them, a few of them. Resident Evil Zero HD remaster, as well as the Origins collection, was out that year. Inside,
I don't think a remaster would get included. But keep going.
yeah, probably no, wouldn't really. But remember that game Inside? We played as the
Yeah.
kid. That came out that year. Dark Souls 3 came out this year. Lethe Episode 1, I don't really know what that is. Case Animatronics, another one. They were like some of the highest reviewed games, for sure. I'm going to double check the Dark Souls 3 one, because again, like what you're saying, Bloodborne.
Did Dark
should-
Souls 3 not come out earlier than Bloodborne?
Nope.
Really? I'm so surprised at that. I always thought Dark Souls 3, like Bloodborne always looks better to me than Dark Souls 3.
Wow, okay. It just doesn't say any of the nomination or
Genres.
any of the genres.
Well, look it. I actually think in that list you've just called out there, I don't think Dark Souls 3 would actually win that category, even though it's a From Software game.
No, it would win Game of the Year that year, but like
No, I don't think it would because it didn't. But it did Inside. Is Inside definitely a horror game?
let's double check. I've seen clips from it. It looks pretty intense. It looks pretty
Mm-hmm.
and it reviewed very well.
Yes.
Very
This is
well.
why I'm asking.
In its genres, it doesn't look like it's including horror actually,
Oh.
which is interesting because. But then, if you read the description of it,
Yeah.
it's a 2016 puzzle platform horror game.
Okay, well then, yeah, okay, so it's a horror game.
I don't know why it's not in the genres area.
Platforming. So, if that's the case, given how critically well received it was,
Yeah,
I think
I'd say.
if horror was a category that year, I think Inside would have won.
Yeah, probably, and that'd be a nice one to win. To be honest, that one looks that's like Limbo, isn't it? Same people did Limbo.
Yeah, and it's definitely a similar style. But
Yeah.
I would have personally picked Layers of Fear for that year. That would be my kind of favorite horror game out of that list that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's fair.
Again, very PT inspired. You know, it exists
Absolutely.
because of.
There's going to be a lot of them, I think, throughout the list and stuff, especially later on. I think there's another game called Visage. I think that's a couple years
Very
later.
PT inspired.
That's very
yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of PT inspired games, but yeah, Layers of Fear is one of them.
So Layers of Fear is the one I would have voted for if this was a real
Mm-hmm.
thing because I haven't played Inside. However, I have seen Inside. I understand how critically well received it is, and I do think that would win Best Horror Game had that been a category that year.
Yeah, I think Inside would have won. As for what I would choose, I don't know what I would choose because again, like what you said, the remasters probably wouldn't be included.
Mm.
Dark Souls 3 probably wouldn't be included. I didn't really play. Actually, I have not played any of those horror games.
Oh, you should play Layers of Fear. That's my recommendation to you.
Okay. I think I seen Adam play.
Like
a
it's
good
usually
bit of
it's
it or
quite
something.
cheap, and to be fair, it's very much like PT. Like there's no combat and there's no like I have to hide or the enemy is going to kill me type thing. It's very much a are you willing to keep going? on this ghost train, basically.
Yeah.
Not that you're not physically on a train, but in terms of like more like those haunted house experiences, you know, that you can go into where it's like you're not actually going to get hurt, but are you brave enough that you can put up with the fact that you will get scared by actors sometimes?
Yeah.
You know, it's more like that. But it's very impressive and well done. And then if you're in any way intrigued by a mystery or want to solve like what actually happened here, it will catch your attention. So it's for anyone who hasn't played Layers of Fear, I would recommend it for this Halloween.
Very good. Okay, now we're on to 2017.
Dun dun.
I think I'm gonna name the nominations here, right?
Yeah.
I think the big titles. I'll name the big titles that came out that year, and I think we know instantly what's going to win.
Okay.
But this one is actually tough for me. So we have Little Nightmares came out that year.
Yeah.
The first one, which was critically acclaimed. Outlast 2. Doki Doki Literature Club. The Evil Within 2.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Okay. Well, I mean, yes. The winner is very obvious.
Yes.
We don't even have to Google if it's a genre. If it was a genre, it absolutely would have been in it.
Yes.
Resident Evil 7 is definitely critically and probably just in general the best horror game there of 2017. However, it's interesting that you would have any kind of, because I know you love The Evil Within 2.
Yes. So I agree with you that it critically, if there was a awards show, Resi 7 would win.
And would deserve it, I think, is the other thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be in no way annoyed if that won. But yes, I obviously have a little bit of a soft spot for Evil Within 2.
Yeah.
I love that game. But
go on. You give another recommendation for those who want a horror game to play this Halloween.
I got psychologically scarred from Doki Doki Literature Club.
You did.
So therefore, on terms of a horror game, that one has scared me the most.
yeah. Just Monica.
Yeah. It's more so it's the scene when the game gets turned upside down. It's that initial moment.
That initial shock.
Initial shock. I won't spoil it for anybody. That's the one that just stuck with me and psychologically scared me.
For anyone who has played Doki Doki Literature Club, and I also won't spoil it here for anyone who hasn't, but for anyone who has, we have an episode on Doki Doki Literature Club.
We do.
So you can listen to that, and you can listen to the various different reactions from all three of us to what that game experience is, what it delivers.
I think the
and
first
how we all
hour,
felt so differently about it.
I think the first hour was the scariest part for Adam.
Yeah. Actually, I think the menu was the yeah. Once the actual like kind of freaky thing happened, that's when he was like, "Oh, thank God, bit of comfort."
Yeah.
By the way, for anyone who's wondering who uses this, Adam is away at the moment. So
Adam's away at the moment. He's the third brother.
Yeah, that's why we don't have him here. But otherwise, he would be on this episode as well.
Anyway, I think Resi 7 absolutely would run away with that one. See, again, you look at some of those games, right? How can you in any way look at Resident Evil 7 or and say that's an action adventure? There's fuck all action in it, and you're not adventuring anywhere.
I assume that that year, and I haven't gone back to double check, but and I know it didn't win, but I assume it was nominated for Game of the Year.
Probably. Let me double check.
Yeah, I would be very surprised. It was a 2017 Game of the Year nominees. I assume Resident Evil 7 was in there. If it wasn't, then I'd be like, what the fuck else came out that year? I know it didn't win. I think, was it Breath of the Wild that year?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm on Resi 7 at the moment. Awards is the Game Award for Best VR AR game. And the nominations was what's the other nominations? So obviously Game Award for Best VR AR, Game Award for Best Audio Design, and Game Award for Best Game Direction.
But did you? Oh well, that all makes sense. Did you look up 2017 Game of the Year nominees though?
All right.
I got it.
You got it.
Oh my God!
It's not there, I don't think.
No! What the fuck?
That's what I'm saying with the nomination. There was only 3 nominations.
Oh my
The Game of
god!
the Year wasn't there.
So it was the sorry now, not to go off topic too much. I'm not surprised, obviously, that Breath of the Wild was one of the nominees because I believe that won that year.
Probably.
Probably rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
But the nominees were PUBG Battlegrounds,
The fuck?
Horizon Zero Dawn,
Okay, cool.
Breath of the Wild, Persona
Right.
5, and Super Mario Odyssey. Resident Evil 7 should be in there.
Over
I'm sorry.
PUBG Battlegrounds.
Yeah, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Yeah.
For
Job
anyone who
your
doesn't
love.
realize, we're not really PUBG fans.
No.
I don't think we've ever played a game in our life of PUBG, but still, fuck that.
Oh, come on, Resi 7 is unreal. Rejuvenated the whole Resident Evil thing. But
Yeah.
again, another one that is so inspired by PT.
Yes, very true.
As well as many other things, but the whole shift in perspective and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, look, no doubt it would win that year. But good year for horror. Good year for horror, that
Good
one.
year for horror. Right.
We recommend Doki Doki and we recommend Evil Within 2
Mm-hmm.
as well as Resi 7.
I should probably actually give Little Nightmares a go. That's supposed to be really good. I haven't played
Little
it.
Nightmares is good. It's kind of something like the whole Limbo or Inside thing. Obviously, the
Yeah,
art
yeah.
style is different, but it's very much a puzzle platformer in a freaky, grotesque, disturbing kind of world. There's something Tim Burton-esque about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen gameplay and I've seen designs, and some of the characters do look very like something that's Tim Burton, where it's like, is this for children? Are we sure?
right, yeah. Where it's like it's clearly not, right? There's something just off-putting about the whole thing. But yeah, Little Nightmares is beautifully designed, I have to say.
So it's a weird description for it, knowing the designs.
Yeah, and it's
But I know what you
strangely,
mean.
it's strange. It's yeah, and it's another one where it's like people would describe it as like a cozy game, and I know exactly what they mean, even though it's like horrible. But it kind of is a like on a wet night, stay in, light the fire, put your hoodie on, and play Little Nightmares. You know?
Put your little yellow raincoat on. Join
Yeah,
in with the
yeah,
kid.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, we're doing well. We're doing well.
Okay,
We're up to 2017.
2018 is
2018.
next.
This
Now,
is the year where they would find it. This is the year where it would be like, we have this category just because we've had this category. But to be honest with you, there's not a lot to nominate this year.
No,
I
so
remember correctly.
from what I can see this year, the big game within the horror category is Vampire. I played some of Vampire. I don't know if I'd call it a horror game
Okay.
in comparison to
What we've
It's-
already discussed. Like,
yeah, in comparison.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things where it's like, yeah, I mean technically the situation is horrible, but you're kind of this badass vampire. So, is it a horror? It's like horror. There is a fine line between when something's horror and not horror, I think.
and is it classed as horror? Actually, sorry. You know the way we've been double checking a couple of these. Is it
Yes,
actually classed as a
let's
horror
do-
game?
Let's do it. Genres. It is not.
Yeah. So wait
It's an
now.
action role-playing video game, so therefore we would not count it.
No, I don't actually know. Like looking at some of the other games that you were able to find that were listed from that year that maybe could come under the horror category. I've never heard of any of them. So there's like Remothered, Tormented Feathers, Grey Dawn,
I've heard that. I
Dusk,
see that.
The Persistence, Tesla versus Lovecraft, Distraint 2. Now maybe other people have heard of these. So I have no thought or opinion on what would possibly win horror game in this particular year.
Neither do I. I would kind of, honestly, from what I've seen, very
Yeah.
little of Remothered,
Okay.
Tormented Fathers.
What did I say? Tormented Feathers?
I actually only just now read it as Fathers, as I also always thought it said Feathers. I would probably give it to that.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just looking at the imagery, reading description and everything that it's gotten high marks and stuff like that. It's not the highest, but it's gotten the high ones, and I kind of just think that might have. I don't know. I'm getting the vibes.
Well, sure, I'm looking at the artwork here now, and yeah, it's giving off some good vibes. Seems to have some good reviews. Maybe it would be the horror game of 2018, which I think so far of the years we've listed, and no offense if people absolutely love some of the games we mentioned, but I think universally it would be the weakest year so far, and it would
Yeah.
be the kind of dull. It'd be the and every year has it at some point with the different categories where it's like, oh, one year had an amazing lineup of fighting games, and then the next year has fighting games that nobody's heard of. This would
Yeah.
be that year where it's like, this was really just to keep the category, but
Yeah, but
none of
again,
it
to
there.
be honest, like you're saying that, and but we're going through the list. There still is no reason to why the category could not exist,
Oh,
because
100%. I'm not saying it shouldn't. Yeah.
the games we listed are like a few out of the many games. There was one of the years, I think it might be in 2022. Yeah, 2022, which I cut down the list, right? That
Hmm.
had over 40 entries. I mean, like for possible horror video games, and it's like that's ridiculous. And
Okay.
like, yeah. Anyway, that's I personally 2018 we'll skim past it because we don't really know most of the games. I think I just get the vibe Remothered would win.
I would like in this case, because maybe the audience, if anyone's listening, has played some of the horror games that are in 2018 or knows of a horror game that came out in 2018. Uh,
Yeah, let us know,
actually,
please.
had any of the fucking Dark Pictures anthology series started at that point?
No, they're to come up.
None of them
There's
had come out yet.
no, there's still to come up, I do believe.
Okay, okay. Well, anyway, if there's a horror game in 2018 that you feel is the horror standout that year, please let us know what would have been the horror game of 2018, especially in something like the Game Awards. If it had had a horror category, do let us know.
Man of Medan was the first one, wasn't it?
Yes,
Hold on, let me double check the year because I'm actually not seeing on the list. Ooh, ooh, when did that come out? Because maybe that would. I don't know if that would win. I think that did not get a good review.
I thought it was terrible, and I'm a
Yeah.
fan of their kind of games, but I
Yes.
really did not like it.
Uh, it came out. Where am I not seeing it? It came out
2019.
in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's next year.
It's next. So actually, leading us on to 2019, and again, do let us know what you think would be the horror game of 2018. There's none there that have stood out to us or that we have actually played. But 2019, Eric, give us some of the hits, and I think it's going to be another obvious one.
Right, so we got Layers of Fear 2 came out, Man of Medan came out, The Sinking City, which is the Lovecraft inspired Luigi's Mansion 3, Days
Whoa, whoa,
Gone.
whoa. Are we classing Luigi's Mansion as a horror game? Get the fuck out of here. That's not a
Look,
horror
Chris,
game.
it's the Game Awards. They have to include a Nintendo game at some point.
Hey, it's Ghost or Spoopy, okay?
Yeah.
All
Five
right.
Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. That was reviewed quite well.
Yeah.
That came out that year. But I guess the one that's definitely going to take the award is the remake of Resident Evil 2 that came out in 2019. Like that's
100%. There
yes.
wouldn't have even been a debate.
No,
It would
like
have been
this
straight up. That is the horror game of 2019.
and this is actually a good example of where I think some games are where there's the fine line between a horror and not a horror, which is Resident Evil 2 and Days Gone. Yes, they both have zombies, but Resident Evil
Yeah,
2 is definitely a horror, and Days Gone is definitely an action adventure.
but it's
Just
so
featuring zombies.
strange, isn't it? Because, and I think you've raised a really good point, but like both of those games, yes, they both feature zombies.
Hmm.
Yes, they both feature resource management.
Hmm.
They're both about survival.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, you're right. One of them is so clearly a horror game. And the other one is like, it's got like horror elements,
It's like
but
the
you wouldn't
intense
straight up
survival.
class it as a horror game.
Yeah.
And part of it, I think, is tone, right? Part of it is tone and lighting. Days Gone, when you say Days Gone to me, I picture daylight.
Yes.
And when you say Resident Evil 2 to me, I picture complete darkness.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
flashlight in the dark and blood and halls. That's what I picture. So it's like the imagery, I think, is more horror in Ori 2 than it is in a game like Days Gone.
Yeah. That Days Gone is a very good game. I've played and cleared that twice. It is really good. And it'd be
Twice! I didn't know that.
yeah. And I actually do think that they should do a sequel, kind of like the Order 1886. I do think a sequel would be class. any issues people had with it, I think they'd be able to fix them
Would you
and
pop
make
for
the
a
game
Days
even better.
Gone 2 reveal at, like, let's say at the Game Awards this year, there's a trailer and people aren't really sure what it is and it turns out it's Days Gone 2. Would you be like, oh, fuck yeah?
Yeah, that'd be class because I think Bend Studio, who were the people who made Days Gone, were pitching Days
The
Gone
sequel.
2. And then
Hmm.
PlayStation went, no, make like a looter shooter hero online
They
game or
put them
something like
on
that.
something that's clearly not their wheelhouse.
Yeah, and then it wasn't going well, so then they got pulled from that. And it's like, well, I hope then they learned and told them to make Days Gone 2.
There
Because,
was another rumor for a while. Do you remember that Bend might be tasked with making a remake of Uncharted, the
oh, I don't
first
think,
one?
yeah,
That
I
was
don't
a
think that.
rumor for a while, and I have no idea. Was there any truth to it? Was it just something that was up in the ether?
Mm.
But there was a rumor for a while that. So I'd be mad now if one day we see the Bend logo and then it turns out it's Uncharted 1 remake. But
Yeah, now, okay, slightly off topic. Do you think that game needs a remake?
Uncharted 1?
Yeah.
It absolutely does not need a remake in the same way as we spoke about in our recent bonus. Halo 1 does not actually need a remake. Halo 1 plays incredibly well.
Yeah, that's
However,
true.
if you were to present me with a remake and it looked better than the other game
Uh,
and it added stuff
yes.
to make
Yeah,
me
yeah.
now want to re-experience the game but also to experience something new, uh, why would I say no to that? You know, if it
Yeah.
was just a fresh coat of paint thing though,
Kind of like the Last of Us Part 1 thing. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
bit kind of
and
like,
the Metal Gear Delta thing.
hmm,
Um, I wouldn't be outright against it, but I certainly would be a little less interested than if they were sort of Ori 4 remaking it,
right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
where it's like
Yeah.
it's faithful, it's all the stuff you want to see, but they're actually recreating the cutscenes, and things will happen slightly differently, and those things that you expect to happen don't happen quite yet, and maybe the creatures come at a different time, stuff like
Mm.
that. Like play around with the formula. That sounds like an exciting Uncharted remake.
And they could then bring in like new gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
rope and stuff, like things that came later in the series,
Mm.
they
To
could
add
add
new elements of
into
traversal.
so that the climbing feels new and fresh, even though it's still the same place that you remember. That could
Yes.
be cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, look at the runaway for this particular year,
It's-
2019, is of course Resident Evil 2. It
yes.
would definitely that one was definitely nominated for Game of the Year, right? If that one wasn't nominated for Game of the Year, I gotta be like, what the fuck do people not like horror games at the Game Awards?
They might not.
Since
It
they won't
doesn't.
give
It
it a
doesn't. It doesn't
category.
have a. It doesn't have a From Software in the making title, so they're just not going to nominate it. Nominations: the Game Award for Game of the Year.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I know it didn't win. I can't remember what won that year.
I also got an award, a
It was a
nomination for
Sekiro.
best.
Sekiro won that year because
Oh
it
yeah,
had From Software in the title. But
yeah, yeah,
like you just said, but I knew. Yeah, I was like, Ori 2 was definitely nominated. I think
yeah.
it was between those two. I think it was like the other front runner. Maybe Death Stranding would have been the other possible.
Was that out that year?
I think so. I think
Very
it
good.
was.
But it also got nominated for best audio design, best game direction, best action adventure. You see, again, this is what we're talking about. It's like it's not really an action adventure game because you're not adventuring
Yeah,
anywhere, and you would
and
rather not fight.
when you get there, it's like okay, it does have action adventure elements for sure. In terms of what the action adventure genre is. Um, but the fact that you have to put it there because you don't have horror to put it in
Mm.
is the problem. And it's like, yes, it's a good action adventure game, but it's an even better horror game.
Yeah, like
So if
again,
horror was a genre, it would fucking absolutely win there.
this is where again it's like your Days Gone Resident Evil 2. It's like Days Gone is your action adventure.
Yes.
Resident Evil 2 is your horror though.
Yeah, and
That's
like we were just
the
talking about
difference.
Uncharted, like Uncharted is like the action adventure game.
Yes.
Like when I think of action adventure, Uncharted should be the poster child for that.
Hmm.
And Resident Evil 2, not so much. But when I think about horror games, things like Resident Evil and Silent Hill are the poster children for that,
For sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, anyway.
Anyway, that's the I am in agreement with you that Resident Evil 2 would run away with that award for best horror. Right.
And if you haven't played it, there's another recommendation for this Halloween.
Play
Ori
that.
2 Remake is crazy.
2020.
The year our podcast started.
The year our podcast started, where we had Demon Souls apparently is a horror game.
No.
Now that's not from software, so it wouldn't win. Uh,
I know, come on. Demon Souls is not a fucking horror game.
let's check it out.
I know Bloodborne, okay, I will accept. Demon Souls, no fucking way. That's just a dark fantasy game.
Yeah, it's more. Blue Point is a very good studio. They did a very good job with that remake.
Amazing.
That's actually the first game I got with the PS5. I remember you and Adam, I think, got Miles Morales, and I got Demon
Yeah,
Souls.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Great launch lineup.
Great launch lineup. Demon Souls is very good. But anyway, that's apparently one. The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. That was another game that came out, obviously based on the very famous TV show. We got Phasmophobia, Resident
Mm.
Evil 3 Remake,
Hmm.
Visage, which we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah, freaky. I didn't know that came out that year, though.
Neither did I.
For some reason, I thought it
remember
came later.
I actually thought it came earlier, but then I think I saw a lot of stuff for it earlier, and then eventually got released in 2020. And then, of course, a game where it's
Oh,
The
yeah,
Last of Us,
we have to debate this one.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Is The Last of Us Part 2, would it class as a horror game?
I'm pretty sure it is classified as survival horror, but
I mean, it's
England.
undeniable that it has horror elements. It's undeniable that one of the scariest things I experienced that year, possibly the scariest thing I experienced that year, is the hospital sequence in The Last of Us Part 2. That's as scary as any other horror game I've played.
Mm-hmm.
So I certainly can't take that away from it. Obviously, it's also an action adventure game, though. And in this case, it really is.
Yeah, I like. So one of it got nominated for so many things. Jesus Christ.
I got nominated for everything, I think.
Yeah. And so it's counted as an action adventure game, a shooter video game, and a survival horror.
It is.
Mhm.
Well, then, I think there is no doubt that if that category existed,
Mhm.
and if The Last of Us Part 2 was in it, it would win.
Well, considering one is nominated for everything else, yeah, it would definitely be nominated, and I think it ran away with a lot of awards, so it's probably going to get nominated for BAFTA Games EE Players' Choice Award. Huh?
Yeah, that was at the BAFTAs.
The the BAFTAs?
Yeah, completely different award show.
But the BAFTAs do games?
Yeah, they have a category for games. I don't know when they first started doing it, but yeah, they've had one every year now.
Huh.
Yeah. But
Fair enough. Okay.
like I think other than The Last of Us Part 2, to me the other standout there is Phasmophobia.
Really?
Because I remember like 2020, we're obviously in COVID. The amount of streamers and people who were playing Phasmophobia online together as both a social thing, but also as, yeah, it was a fucking scary game. Like, I played it once and it was really fucking, like, you're on edge because you're waiting for the ghosts to come out, you know? And you're using the little scanners and the meters to try find them in the houses, and you're going through dark hallways and all this kind of stuff. So if The Last of Us Part 2 was not there, I think Phasmophobia would win. I don't think Resi 3 would. Because I think people liked it, but I don't think they loved it.
Yeah, I'm looking at images of Phasmophobia. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so I think that would be the winner. And for many people, they probably go, "No, The Last of Us Part 2, get the fuck out of here. Phasmophobia is the horror game of that year." But let's be
Yeah,
honest.
but the
If
Game
it was the
Awards.
Game Awards, and if Last of Us Part 2 was there, it's the winner.
Yeah,
No
for
doubt about
me,
it.
I'd be between because I've seen stuff for Visage, and Visage looks scary as fuck as well. So for me,
Yeah.
it'd be between Visage and Phasmophobia, just from what I can see here of it. Those ghosts look like a whole can of Nope. But yeah, if it was the Game Awards, it'd be The Last of Us Part 2 that they just give to that.
Well, do you remember how fucking scary the Rat King was?
Yeah, he was pretty intense.
No, he was fucking terrifying, man.
He was he was
That whole like looking through the door. I think I screenshot it at the time. You look through a door, it's ripped open. There's blood everywhere. There's bloody hands and all this kind of stuff. And you kind of have to walk through like a fungal mass. That's like a tunnel. And I just screenshot it and I said nope. That was the end of it.
I dealt with
No
Spider
fucking
Lady. Rat King was a bit of a
walk in the park.
not walk in the park, but I was yeah, like it was intense, but
I think I rang Danny at the time, my friend Danny, and was just like, "Hey man," because he was playing Last of Us Part Two at like the same time,
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, "Man, have you gotten to the Rat King yet?" He was like, "Fuck the Rat King." I was like, "Yeah, fuck the Rat King," because I remember asking him, "Where did the name Rat King come from?" I was like, "I see, did I miss something?" And he explained to me what a Rat King was.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, that's fucked up. That's
Well, I'm
crazy.
not gonna lie, an actual Rat King is scarier than that Rat King.
Get out of here. What's wrong with you?"
I would be terrified if I found a bunch of rats with their tails all tangled up trying to bloody
But
every
moving as
aspect
moving
of
as one
yeah, every
being.
aspect of that thing is terrifying.
Yeah, that's
Because it's
fair.
like I want to let them free because unfortunately they're all tangled up together.
That's pretty
But then
sad.
also yeah, it's sad. But then on top of that, do I want to get close to them? If they bite me, I could get all sorts of infections. If I manage to set them free, they might decide to fucking plague tail it and just rip me apart.
Hmm.
Every aspect of that is terrifying. But yeah, no, the
You're
Rat King is
telling
pretty
me,
intense.
right? And I don't get me wrong. If I saw an actual rat king, yes, I'd be afraid. But you're telling me if in real life it could be either a real rat king or the Last of Us rat king. You're
Chris,
telling me the rats would be scarier?
Chris, in real life, I'd be dead, and I would
Yeah,
never even
either
get to
way,
meet the
I
Rat King.
yeah. Oh, I'm not surviving the apocalypse. Are you
I'm
kidding
not
me?
surviving that. No way. I'm fucking
Clickers are gonna fuck me up.
yeah,
Yeah, and I remember as well, and I think yeah, okay. The obviously the Rat King is the standout horror sequence of Last of Us Part Two,
yeah.
but I'd be remiss not to like call out. And we have episodes on Last of Us Part Two spoiler cast and stuff. If
Mm,
people do want to go and check those out from back in the day, our podcast was formatted very differently, and like our audio quality wasn't as good, our
mm.
visual quality wasn't as good, but the points remain. Um, but I think like some of the moment to moment gameplay was also incredibly intense. Your heart's racing. I think about the stalkers as
Right. Yeah.
incredibly
Yeah. The
scary
stalker.
sequences. I think about just the clickers in general, like the whole hotel sequence as you're
So
working your way
I
through
think
was
you're
very on
answering your own
edge.
point when you went, "Is this a survival horror?" Yes, it
Yeah,
is, Chris.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. I just
Yeah.
think that when people think about The Last of Us Part 2 overall, and they think about the Ellie Abby stuff, that's the thing they think about, which is more the action adventure side of the game.
Yes.
But if you do stop and think about the horror aspects of the game, which are probably the best parts of the game,
Yeah. 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 Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah,
so
they are supposed to be survival horror games. But yeah, no, that would win, but I wouldn't give it to it because I just again I'd be more thinking about things like Amnesia Rebirth came out that year as well, and
oh
that's
shit, okay,
that is highly rated as too. So I just be a little bit like, there are actual horror like horror is the core heart of the games. That's what
yes.
came out that year. Last of Us Part Two, horror is not the core heart. There's
Oh,
horror
if
elements.
if this had been a category that year and this had happened, people would be butthurt. They'd be
I think
butthurt
people
over
I
this one.
think people were butthurt that year when that won anything anyway.
Yeah, 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 but they would be in particular about this. Like, yeah, your
Right,
horror aficionados who are like, I've played all of the horror games this year. They would be very annoyed that Last of Us Part Two wins, basically.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
but we know how this goes. We know how this
We know how
goes.
this goes. If it's not Last of Us Part Two, it'll be Demon Souls because that's from software. Yeah.
No, it would no. Demon Souls would not be in that category. You're crazy.
Man, I would have felt that
It's
was
not a horror
more.
game.
I felt more intense in that game than I did with Last of Us Part Two.
I agree. Okay, it's intense, but so is Days Gone, and we already made the argument that that was not a horror game. Demon
Uh,
Souls is not a horror game. Get out of here. You and your
anyway,
fucking Luigi's Mansion. Get the fuck.
oh boy, you just wait for what I'm about to mention with 2021.
Bring it on. 2021. Let's go.
Happy's Humble Burger Farm. No, I'm joking. That
What
did
the
actually
fuck?
come
That
up,
sounds
yeah.
terrifying.
Like I did actually notice that with some of the horror titles was
Mm.
that the nicer they sounded, the more I was like, well, that's terrifying.
Right. That's because Doki Doki has forever scarred you.
No, but I just think if you were to see a game that was a horror game, but it was called something like Tranquility, like Tranquility
Oh,
Town,
sure. Yeah,
you would just be immediately going, well, that's a fucked up town.
yeah.
That's immediately
Yeah, yeah.
just awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Peaceful Springs. You're just like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
fuck that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
meditative peace of mind. Anyway, games that came out this year of note. Dark Pictures
2021.
for 2021. Dark Pictures
2021.
Anthology's House of Ashes, which
Hmm.
got reviewed quite well.
Yep.
Another Five Nights at Freddy's game because there was one like every year.
Yes. Which
Tormented
one? Which Five Nights at Freddy's was it?
Security Breach.
Yes, I
Got a
heard of
low,
this one.
it got a low score, but yeah, it came out. Tormented Souls. I've seen imagery for that. That looks nasty. Little Nightmares 2. Inscription, The Medium, and Resident Evil Village. So those are a couple of games that came out. There's obviously a lot more to come out the year, but those are a couple that came out.
Okay. I have
Right.
yet. I have to ask this question again.
Okay.
Is Inscription a horror game?
Okay. Glad you asked because I
Go on.
actually checked
Yeah.
earlier in the week because I saw Inscription and I think you ticked it as like, yeah,
I
I
ticked
think,
it as like I've heard of that one.
yeah, I've heard of that one. So I went, okay, he's ticked it. Let's check that. Yes, it is. It is counted as a puzzle horror game.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well then, this is going to be a first, I think. Hold on. I need to also check this.
Oh, what else is checking, boys?
I'm
What else is
checking.
check?
So we're 2021, right?
We're 2021.
So 2021.
Was that nominated for like Game of the Year or something?
That's what I'm checking. Game of the Year nominees.
Right.
Okay. It was not. Okay, well, I'm sorry. This is the tell then, right? Because I thought it was. I know it was nominated for other categories that year.
I think Best Indie was it or something like that.
I think so, and I've played it. I was playing it earlier this year. It's a fucking weird game, but a very interesting one that I wish I could get to the end of. Apparently, it gets crazy. Apparently, even though it starts dark and ominous, it has a bit of a Doki Doki moment where the game flips on its head and really starts. And I've never gotten to that point
Oh, right.
because it's also a bit of a roguelike, and I just can't. There's a certain boss that I just can't get past.
Okay.
But it's super interesting. I think you should try it. Like it's
Interesting.
really, really interesting.
Okay.
Just the style of it and all that kind of stuff is. I recommend it. Another interesting game to play. And the sound effects to it are crazy. But let's be honest, Resident Evil Village would win horror game of the year this year. It was, and that's what I was checking. It was one of the game of the year nominees that year.
Yeah, that would
And that's a
probably
big
win.
tell, you know?
That it would probably win that one for sure. That's definitely got more horror elements than like Last was Part 2, I'd say, even though Part 2 does have horror elements. But that one is again, it's Resident Evil horror is at the very essence of its core. It's got Lady Dimitrescu. I was about to call her by her nickname, and I decided let's not do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But more than that, it has the dollhouse.
it has Dollhouse. Dollhouse is scary as hell.
Yeah. And if you haven't played it, Resident Evil Village, I think I'm going to say more than any other Resident Evil, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not saying it's better than the other Resident Evils, absolutely not. But more than any other Resident Evil is a perfect Halloween game
Yes.
because of
Sure.
the Universal Monsters vibe. You know, the werewolves, the vampires, the witches. Like it's such a Halloweeny game. The big Castle Dracula, basically. Like
Yes.
it's so Halloweeny that it's
And
perfect
it
to
has
play
that
at
has
this
the
time of year.
Frankenstein stuff towards the end, and it's got
Yeah, and we did a whole spoiler cast on Village. Again, if you want to check that out to get more in-depth thoughts on it, as well as myself and Eric did the Shadows of Rose DLC as well.
yeah, we did.
These are all things you can check out if you want. But yeah, undoubtedly the best horror game of 2021.
For sure, for sure. Now I did play the medium.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and you did a review on that as well.
I did do a review on the medium. That was kind of creepy, but I still would give the award to Village. But that was creepy, but I could really tell because that was Bloober
Yes,
who made the Silent Hill 2 remake.
yes,
And absolutely, you can see that the medium was heavily inspired by Silent Hill because it does the old fixed camera angles. When you go into the spirit realm, it has that rustic industrial vibe to it.
right.
It's got that very dark stuff. Every like story has like a very dark twist to it and everything like that. Yeah, the medium is quite good. The Blooper team is a very good. They're a very good team at horror. So I might pick up Chronos at some point because they made that as well, didn't they?
Did it?
Yeah, so I might pick up that at some point.
Interesting.
But yes,
Cool.
I'd probably give. Yeah, Village would get the award that year for
Yeah.
sure.
And it was actually my game of the year that year too, in 2021.
Was it mine or did I have a different game?
I can't remember. I think it might have been because I think 2021 was for us kind of a weak year for games. I don't know if anything else would have caught your eye. I mean, one of the big game of the year nominees that year was Deathloop, and we were seeing that everywhere. It Takes
Oh
Two
yeah,
was the winner that year, which is a good game, but it kind of just showed that 2021 was a weird year for games.
yeah. Death. Yeah, I tried to play some Deathloop. I think I'm gonna sell it.
Yeah,
It's
let's
just
do it, man.
yeah. Actually, I do remember that because it was at like every state of play.
Everything, every
And I
single
think
game show had a trailer for it, and you were sick of it.
I think was that the year when I was getting really ticked off with state of plays. I think
Yeah, I
it
think
was.
so.
I think 2021. I was getting really ticked off with them. I think that was partially one of the reasons why was because it was just that all the time, and I was
You
like,
were you were yourself were in a death loop.
yeah, I was like, can you please just show something else? But then again, COVID. No one was making games, so they had to just show the same thing over and over again.
100%. Right, take us on to 2022 when maybe things start to get a bit better for games in general, but do they get better for
2022
horror
was
games?
fucking nuts. There were so many games.
Okay.
So many games. The remake, Last of Us Part 1 came out that year.
Okay.
Scorn came out that year.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's that
Yeah.
weird
H.R.
bio.
Geiger looking
Yeah,
game. Yeah,
yeah. The Shadow of Rose DLC was out that year,
yeah.
which I was really surprised to find out that was actually only a year later. Evil Dead the game came out that year.
Mm-hmm.
Signalis came out that year, which actually looked really cool. The Quarry,
Oh, yes. The sort
a,
of spiritual successor to Until Dawn.
yeah, a game called Immortality. You've heard of that? I've never heard of this.
Yes.
Dying Light 2 Stay Human, and the Callisto Protocol. That's just a few of the games. There's plenty of other games, again, if people have played
So there's a
other
few
games.
there that are obvious nominees in the
For sure,
genre,
for sure,
right?
for
Like
sure.
Callisto Protocol would be a nominee. We have an
Mm.
episode on it. I don't think it would win. I think it was too much of a mixed bag to be the winner.
Yeah, I don't think it would win nominated. Yeah, it's definitely intense. It's definitely horror for sure.
Yes.
Graphically, it's very good.
Yes.
A lot of stuff going for it. I think the part where it loses itself is kind of the story is too predictable. They kind of tell you nearly too soon, and I think the over reliance on the baton, which definitely came from like Silent Hill, I'd say that inspiration.
Maybe. They said they were inspired by like UFC fighting games. So that's why you use
I'm
the
I'm
analog instead of the buttons.
I'm pretty sure in UFC you're not allowed to use. I'm pretty sure it's wrestling where you use the
Yeah, I
chair.
know. It's just the controls though. The
Right.
controls.
Oh well, yeah.
The
Okay.
way
So
that
like,
works and the whole
yeah, yeah,
dodge thing and all that. It's
yeah,
all done with the analogs, you know.
yeah.
And I did not enjoy that way that played at all. And
Mm,
I think
that's
that's
fair.
why it's a mixed bag. It's very much you either gel with this or you don't. And
Yeah, that's fair.
some people did and some people didn't. In terms of the games that you've listed,
Mm.
uh, what was some of the first ones you said again?
Scorn.
I take Scorn.
I actually think Signalis.
Oh, okay, difference of opinion. But we
Mm.
both then think that it's something a little more under the radar, more
Yeah.
of like a critical darling type game as opposed to a big blockbuster game.
Yeah, I don't think this year the blockbusters that get it for
No,
sure.
yeah,
I
I don't
think the
think so
Callisto
either.
Protocol had too many mixed reviews. The Last of Us Part One might just get it just so that they can finally
I
go. The
don't,
Last of Us Part One would got an award.
I don't think it would have been nominated because I don't like it didn't get nominated for anything that year, if I remember correctly, apart
Oh,
from accessibility. And it's like, but it's The Last of Us. It's that whole weird thing of like is it a remaster? Is it a remake? Are we going to nominate this game? It's not really a new game.
yeah,
Like that whole
yeah.
weird kind of.
The Quarry, good with critics. Critics really liked the Quarry.
I played all of the
Right.
Quarry, and there's I uploaded the whole film of the gameplay on our YouTube channel.
There you
It
go. If
has
anyone wants to watch
it
it,
is our most viewed video with
nice,
85,000 views.
nice,
But there's no commentary or anything. It's literally just my playthrough of the game.
nice, nice, nice. Oh yeah, it did have a cool feature, didn't it? Where it turned your gameplay into a movie. So it was very seamless, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could just watch it back in like what was called sort of cinema mode, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a one and done for me though. I kind of like enjoyed the quarry. I wouldn't play it again.
Okay.
And I don't think it would win. I don't think it stood out as much as like I think anyone who played it liked it, but also felt like it was like it's just not as good as Until Dawn. That was sort of the whereas something like Scorn and Signalis, fair enough, have a unique artistic vibe to them both.
Hmm.
Again, you actually might be onto something. I think Scorn was very mixed reviews for people because I think everyone loved the art style, but not everyone loved the gameplay.
No, I don't think they were huge fans of the
So
gameplay.
I
Signalis, though, I think had this really cool pixel vibe to its art design. It had a horror, but then it had an interesting story of what exactly was the story to Signalis again? It was, I think you're playing as like an android who's trying to save someone that you kind of love, but you shouldn't love. It's survival horror. Okay, that's not telling me anything about the story.
was it well received?
Yeah, I got like 81.
Okay, yeah, I think you're probably on the ball, and Signalis would win horror game that year.
There's a whole wiki fandom for it.
Nice.
I'm, I mean,
Maybe it's worth playing.
I am actually kind of tempted to play it, to be honest.
There we go, guys. We might get a new game under our belt.
But
Signalis.
personally, that's what I think. I think Signalis would win. That's personally what I think.
I'm going to side with you.
Okay,
I
thanks,
think you've
man.
made a good argument. I think Signalis would be the horror game of 2022 at the Game
Bro.
Awards had it been a category.
Had a bit
But
of category.
now we get to the really good one.
Now we get to 2023, where we're like
2023, which
this-
was not only the most ridiculous year for games anyway, but then this was the one where we were like, there absolutely should be a horror category. And we were talking about it all that year, I think.
Yes.
And then it didn't happen. And we were like, what the fuck? Why is there not a horror category specifically for this year?
Yeah, there probably is going to be one for 2025, and you're going to be like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Okay, give us some of the big horror games that came out in
Right,
2023.
okay. Okay, this is another one. Lies of P was released this year.
No, stop it. Get out of here. It's not a horror
And
game.
I would agree. I would say that's not a horror game. I've played some of it. Outlast Trials, that was
Yep.
released this year. Bramble the Mountain King, which is kind of like Inside, but weird Celtic
Yeah, creepy.
fairy vibes.
Creepy.
Yeah. Dredge.
Yes.
Amnesia the Bunker.
Mm.
Dead Space.
Yes.
I wouldn't count Aliens Dark Descent, to be honest. Sons of the Forest. I think that's supposed to be kind of like like a horror survival
Yeah.
camp building game. And of course, the main two, let's be honest, it's between these two.
Is it? Go on.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 Remake and Alan Wake 2. I would say it's between those two.
Well, let's face it. For this particular category,
Hmm.
it is between three games. Three of which we did an episode with that year as our Halloween special with Pagan, our sister-in-law.
Hmm.
We came on to talk about horror games 2023, and we spoke about all three of these games. Right? But yes, Dead Space Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and Alan Wake 2. There's other great horror games there, but they are the three big ones that are not both, like they are both commercially big, but also critically well received as well, and fans love them. So they hit all the boxes. They're just incredibly well made horror games. You're probably right that in the which would win the award thing, that it would be either Ori 4 Remake or Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, Dead Space would definitely be nominated, but I think it is
sure.
because Resident Evil 4 is the thing that changed horror games in how its perspective is done. Like Dead Space's perspective is thanks to the original Resident Evil 4, Alan Wake 2
Yeah.
is the same, Silent Hill 2 remake is the same, Chronos would be the same. Gears of War is thanks, like so many games are thanks to Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil 4, and then this is a remake of that beloved game in a franchise
and
that's
done
doing
so
really well
as well.
Yeah,
Not just a phone it in remake or this is a fresh coat of paint remake. This is a a game worth playing in its own
Yeah.
right.
And actually, even if we just before we get on that, like Dead Space remake is it's nearly it's weird that that's like a beat for beat remake, but yeah, done in such a way that it feels fresh. Even though it's like, oh yeah, chapter 2 is we go to the medical place, chapter 3 is we go there, blah blah blah. Like everything still happens in the same way, but because they streamlined how you get around the ship and introduced Isaac talking and introduced more information on the unitologists,
Hmm.
it just built the game as like again, like that's how you do a remake is that you add in extra stuff to the lore to make it feel new for everyone playing the game.
Dead Space Remake is the best Dead Space game.
Hmm.
And I say that as someone who absolutely loves the original too. But the best way to experience Dead Space is the remake.
Yeah,
It
very good.
is an unbelievable love letter
Yeah.
done with such passion. It is absolutely incredible. And this highlights how good 2023 was.
Treasure was
We
nuts.
weren't shocked. We didn't even blink when Dead Space, which I'm telling I is incredible, wasn't a Game of the Year nominee. We didn't even blink.
No.
It was like, yeah, that makes sense, given the rest of the games that were there. And there were so
Yeah.
many other games that also could have been Game of the Year nominees, and we didn't blink because 2023 was just nuts. But what
Yeah, I
was
think
there
yeah.
in the Game of the Year nominees was Ori 4 Remake
Hmm.
and Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
So therefore, in a horror category, it's between those two. Let's
Hmm.
be honest.
Yeah.
And even though I think Ori 4 is the better game overall, I think it's very clear from the awards that year that Alan Wake 2 was the critical darling. And I think Alan Wake 2 would win Best Horror Game 2023.
If that's how it went, if they gave Alan Wake 2 the award, I would agree with them
Hmm.
because I do think Alan Wake 2 is scarier than Resident Evil 4 remake.
For sure.
I think that's way more horror. Like again, like that's not a game that you can go, this is an action adventure. It's like it's not. It's a horror puzzle game and it's a survival horror game.
Hmm.
It is there is nothing adventurous about this. I do not want to adventure this game. I did
Yeah.
not want to walk down any of those roads.
Yeah. And I'm saying, like, Ori 4 Remake is my favorite game that year.
Mm,
I prefer it as a game in general. But in the horror category, Alan Wake 2 deserves the award, and I think it would have
yeah,
won it, if it
yeah,
was
yeah.
a
So you're
category
right.
that existed. We have a spiral cast on Alan Wake
Hmm.
2,
We do.
worth checking out. And we did a three-parter spoiler cast for Ori 4 Remake, all also worth checking out. And if you haven't played either of those games, they are both fantastic games to jump into for Halloween. Um, if you're brave enough, play Alan Wake 2 with headphones.
I am not.
Okay, take us on to 20. We're getting near the end now.
We're getting near the end.
2024, last
2024.
year.
This last year, now even this was a good year for horror games, right? There was Alone in the Dark.
Oh, yeah.
I tried playing that. I wasn't really feeling it, but I like a lot of the user scores. People were happy with this. We had Still Wakes the Deep.
Oh, yeah. I tried a bit of that. That was scary.
I got to the first monster and went, yeah, I'm good. Nope,
That would be nominated for sure.
that would be nominated for sure. One of the games you kind of ticked for attention is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Okay,
Oh, and Crow
again
Country. So explain both of these two.
okay, so these ones were, I saw them on your list and I was like, okay, we need to double check these. I'm ticking them as I've definitely heard of these critically. Lorelei and the
Ah.
Laser Eyes, I've heard people talk about as one of the most amazing games they've ever played.
Wow. Okay.
But I
Okay.
don't know if it's a horror game. So I only ticked it because I was like, oh, well, if that, I was kind of assuming that you've already checked that these are horror games. That was sort of my thing. And I was like, well, if it is, then it would definitely be nominated. And then Crow Country was one I'd heard of.
It is not a horror game.
Okay, that's Lorelei gone. And then Crow Country is one that it plays like, it has an old retro style graphics, and it plays like an old school Resident Evil or Silent Hill.
Yeah,
with
there's
a
travel horror.
top-down
Yeah.
camera and you're shooting stuff. I think it would be nominated, But let's be honest, we already know what the winner would have been.
Right, because the last thing to mention here, there's a couple of other games as well, but Silent Hill 2 is the runaway success here, right?
Yes.
It has to be. 'Cause I'm playing it at the moment.
Yes.
Fuck those enemies. Fuck those legs.
Yes. Legs,
Those
please. No, thank
those
you.
those leg thingies. I will
Hmm.
take all the other enemies over those legs.
Yeah, look, I obviously started Silent Hill 2 earlier this year. I
Mm,
had talked about it with praise last year. Nobody was excited for this remake.
no.
The trailers were terrible. The marketing
So
was terrible. Bloober Team had yet to. I know there was promise in the medium, and it was like good, but Bloober Team weren't. They hadn't yet. Like it's not like when you saw Bloober Team, you're like, oh fuck yeah.
mm,
So it's not like it was like, oh, this is like. Obviously, yes, they were Silent Hill inspired, but that doesn't mean they were the dream team for Silent Hill.
right.
It was more like it's a dream for them. But is it a dream for us that they're the ones that were picked? And then all the reviews came out, and it was like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 across the board. Or everyone's saying as well that they were like, I thought this was going to be terrible. It's amazing.
It's
And then
it's a
I
bit like
checked it out,
the
and
Guardians game. Guardians of the
yes,
Galaxy as
yes,
well. Like
yeah, yeah.
no one was excited for that. It looks terrible. It was just one of those games that's like this is being marketed quite badly. Then it came out and everyone went, "This is really good." We've both played that game. That's a really good game.
It's a really good game, and we've both played. I know you're currently playing Silent Hill 2. I played 10 hours of it earlier in the year, but I stopped because it got under my skin in a way that is. I'm gonna say so. Not only would I have given it the award, I think it deserves it. I think it would have won it.
Hmm.
I think it's incredible. I think Bloober Team now are a name worth keeping an eye on. I think they knocked it out of the park. The visuals are incredible. The audio is incredible. The performances are so good. The guy playing James Sunderland, I even said it last year, I think he deserved the award for best performance. He's so nuanced. I think he's really realistic. He seems like a real person.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing because I've only started it yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yes, and it's on PS Plus now. So
Yes,
if you
that
have
that's
that, this is a really good Halloween game.
yeah, that's how I got it. It was yeah, it's on PlayStation Plus. It was available since the 21st of October. And I remember when you were playing it, me and Adam both said the same thing afterwards.
Yeah, you just came over right at the start to check it out.
Yeah, we weren't that impressed,
Hmm.
really. I actually was like, graphically, I wasn't that blown away. Performance, though,
What?
yeah, I know. And dialogue, I wasn't that blown away by dialogue and stuff like that. I just,
Sure.
gameplay wise, I was like, oh, this kind of seems really boring. The maps look really awkward and complicated.
I think it's one you have to have in your own hands.
And then all of a sudden, I had the controller in my hands, and I'm like, the graphics are amazing. I think I sent you a message. Graphics are amazing. There's a moment, and I never noticed this when you played it. Never noticed it in the trailers. You know, at the very start of the game when he's at the sink, it's in
Hmm.
the trailers and everything. He's washing his hands,
And then he plays with the skin on his hand.
he plays with the skin on his hand,
Yeah,
and the muscle moves.
it's incredible.
I was like, I never noticed that, and I was like, that's amazing.
The whole thing
And
is amazing.
your man's, I do think delivery of lines from some of the characters isn't great, or at least more so not realistic. But I think that's down to script and
I think as well
direction.
trying to somewhat. I think they're trying to blend grounding it, but also staying somewhat faithful to the
Mm,
original. I know man, you should hear the voice acting in the original, but and I also think though that there's an element to Silent Hill, and in particular Silent Hill 2, where the whole thing feels kind of dreamlike,
mm.
and it doesn't feel like any of this is real.
Yeah, well, I suppose that because that is one thing about the cutscenes. All the cutscenes feel really random,
Yeah,
kind of out of place. And it's like that's a random event. That's a random event and stuff. But like, yeah, like you said, James's fucking expressions are amazing. His subtle
he's
eye
so good.
movements, swallow like everything you can see the Adam's apple moving when he's swallowing the lump in his throat. Like you can nearly see what he's thinking. and that's a video game character. That's not a real
I
person, and
honestly
it's a
think he should have won Best Performance last year. I think he's absolutely incredible.
yeah. The subtleties and stuff in his voice as well, and I think it does really help to know the story when you're playing this game because I think you might get thrown off a bit by the delivery of dialogue and the way the characters interacting because you're like, oh, no one. Why is no one reacting to the monsters? They're just like, oh, but there's monsters in the town, and no one's like, what the hell's going on? It's like, yeah, well, if you actually know the story, you'll kind of know why
Yeah,
no one's reacting that much.
interestingly, I think Silent Hill 2, even though it has one of the greatest twists in all of horror games, right? Um, but because it's so known, it's kind of like the Aerith thing now, or it's kind
Right.
of like Vader. It's one of those things where it's like whether you've played the game or not, if you've watched enough Watch Mojo videos, you know the twist, right? But strange enough, I find that doesn't ruin the game. It actually deepens it because what you're doing is on your first playthrough, you're basically having that second playthrough experience
Mm.
where you're playing it through the lens of like, say, oh, is he doing that because of that, or does that represent this? Which is the stuff you're supposed to do on your second playthrough.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I actually think it really helps it. Silent Hill 2 is, for me, the scariest game I have ever played. And not necessarily I don't think it's as jump scary as Alan Wake 2. I don't think it's as like haunts me in that kind of when I go in my own corridor, it makes me think of PT,
Mm.
like in that kind of way where it's like it plays on your mind. Now you kind of want to run up the stairs to get into the bed when you turn off the light, you know that feeling? Uh it's not like the dollhouse where your heart is
Right,
just
yeah.
racing and you just want to get out of there.
Mm.
But I felt uncomfortable when I played it. And all these, by the way, are pros to the game. I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it, with horror games where it's like if you want to play it less, it's a really great
Oh
game.
yeah, I stopped playing Silent Hill 2. I would love to finish it, but I have no desire to go back in there because the place just fills me with dread. And I dread going around every corner. I saved all the time.
Hmm.
I took my time on puzzles because I knew that while I was doing a puzzle, I was safe and I
Right.
didn't want to encounter the next thing. And there's just a darkness and a dreariness and an eeriness and a real sadness all throughout.
Hmm.
Where even in like something like Resi 4, there's moments of hell yeah, fuck yeah, kill those guys. Well, you actually have fun. And I don't have fun playing Silent Hill 2, but I think it's to the credit of Silent Hill 2. I think it's a work of art. And I know people would have said that about the original anyway. I do believe this remake is so faithful, and it has gotten under my skin as the scariest horror game I've ever played.
Well, there you go. There you go. If you have to take anything, guys, when you're taking recommendations on horror games, Chris just said Silent Hill 2 is the scariest game he has ever played. And the
Are
rest,
you enjoying it while you're playing it? Yeah?
yeah, yeah, and I think I'll probably end up clearing it. I think
Yeah.
I'm 6 hours through it. Um,
And I've already caught up to where I am
I think I've caught up to
because
where you
that's
are.
how slow I was playing it.
I'm kind of raging. I missed a few little side things you could do to get trophies
Okay.
in exploration, but I mean, New Game Plus is for that. So, but yeah, no, I'm really liking it. I am a little bit like the combat sometimes is irritating.
Yeah, the combat's not like fun or anything.
No, no, it's not really. But I am just most of the time I'm just whacking the crap out of them with a crowbar. I have I have a fair amount of bullets in the game.
Yeah.
Health items, I am stacked. I am fine on health,
Yeah.
which kind of makes me worried because I'm like,
All right.
at what point am I gonna fight something that's gonna fuck me up? But yeah,
Yeah.
no, so far I'm really loving it. Again, James's performance is just it's just the subtleties that they were able to get with mocap was just amazing.
And we both agree that it would be if
Yes,
there
yeah,
was a
yeah.
horror category, it's the 2024 horror game of the year. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think we have now gone through all of the previous game of the year, or sorry, Game Awards years, and if
Hmm.
horror had been a category, We have picked out the game that we think would have won the horror game of the year each year. Let us know if you think you were right. Let us know if you think we're wrong. Let us know what game should have been there instead. Get mad, downvote us, that kind of stuff. Get really much like the actual Game Awards. Let us know if something has been absolutely robbed, and that deserves the horror game of whatever year. Put that down in the comments. As we finish up, obviously, the 2025 Game Awards have not happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
More games are still to come. But Eric, as it stands with what's out so far, if they were to add horror games into the category this year, what would be 2025's horror game of the year, do you think, from what you've heard? I know we haven't gotten around to play much of the horror games this year, but
Probably, I'm looking at the kind of the reviews, the review scores for the games
yeah,
that have review scores, right? I'm
that
looking at
helps. That always helps.
that does always help to kind of inform what's most likely going to win. And the one that has the highest
hmm
is Silent Hill F.
Yeah, I think, I know obviously Bloober Team also made Chronos the New Dawn this year. Very impressive looking, has more of a Dead Space vibe. Little bit of Callisto Protocol in there too, with the way the
Yeah,
enemies kind of, if you don't kill them, they come back stronger. There's kind of a sense of that seems like a Callisto Protocol style thing,
yeah.
but definitely a Dead Space inspired kind of vibe. It looked cool and everything, but I think Silent Hill F is definitely the horror game that stands out more. It definitely got it under people's skin. And from a lore and story point of view, I think critics really, really dug that game. Haven't played it myself, so we can't give our own thoughts on it. But I think so far, and obviously more games might still come before the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
I think so far Silent Hill F would be 2025's horror game of the year.
Yeah, probably. For sure. For sure.
You know that Susie Young does the English voice acting in that? So she is Yuffie from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, cool.
And she also plays Kiku, who is a character in Ghost of Yotei. If you're playing Ghost of Yotei and you haven't met that character, I won't say who it is. There's a character called Kiku in that game, but Susie Young is the person who voices her.
That's why I liked Kiku.
Yeah, cool
Yeah.
character. Without saying who she is or what
Yeah, no, I
role
like
she plays,
Kiku.
but yeah,
Kiku
she's a
was
cool
good.
character.
Yeah.
But guys, I think that is going to conclude this year's Halloween special. We have gone through all of the years in which the Game Awards have been around, starting with 2014. Started off controversial with PT getting the award, whether it's a game or not. Fight us on it, but we're right. We know, that they would have given it to it because of Hideo Kojima and how influential that game actually was. Right up to this year and what we think would maybe win this year, depending on what else happens this year. But we want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear horror games that you recommend. We want to hear what you're playing this Halloween. Do let us know. It's a good time to jump into horror games, and there's plenty of amazing horror games to play. We've just listed out over the last 10 years so many great horror games. We want to hear your thoughts too. If you're watching YouTube, jump down into the comments to share what horror game you think would have won each year or in a given year. If you're very passionate about one of the years that you feel we're wrong on, tell us why. Tell us which one would have won. And let us know what you're playing this Halloween. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for future episodes. Make sure you're notified of when they come out. If you're listening to us on audio platforms, you can touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on the best horror games from 2014 to 2025. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. Happy Halloween, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.